You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to But I Digress. I'm Nathan Marchand, and with me today is my old pal Sergio Garza, here to review yet another movie for you. This week it is Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, because this movie seriously needed a subtitle, right?
I don't understand why they just put the V and not just versus in the title.
I don't know. That will probably explain why there was a parody of this where I saw on YouTube by Studio C where Batman and Superman went to court.
There you go.
Because it does sound very legal-ish, doesn't it? Anyway, this has been a much-hyped movie. I mean, seriously, I swear, in like the last 3 months, I have been getting bombarded constantly with ads and promos and trailers and all kinds of things about this movie. It is to the point that it was absurd. And I understand it's two iconic superheroes who are going finally on screen together, at least in live action. You know, and it's a big deal, but it just got to the point where it was just kind of overwhelming. It's just like, come on, we get it. And you know, the funny thing is even though we are going to do our best to keep this review spoiler-free, I kind of feel like I need to just tell everybody what everyone's suspected for a while. That is, if you saw the second trailer, it pretty much spoiled almost everything. I mean, there's a couple of twists that I didn't really see.
It's almost a whole movie.
Yeah. And that's your phone going on.
Oh, let it. It's probably my brother. Go on.
Yeah, anyway. I'm not editing that out. That's kind of funny.
Go ahead.
But, so anyway, we just got back from seeing the movie. This is actually our third attempt at reviewing it because of camera issues. But anyway, so, Sergio, how did you feel about this?
Shut up!
Anyway, how did you feel about Batman v Superman?
I honestly, I didn't like it that much. I thought it could have been way better than it was. I just feel like it was too dark. They always, I mean, these Zack Snyder style movies are really just getting old on me. They really are. I don't mind Batman being dark, but Superman and...
Yeah, Team Superman all the way, by the way.
I mean, Superman and then even a little bit of Wonder Woman, a little too dark, and it's just like...
Are you talking about in terms of tone or appearance?
Tone. Like the way the movie's shot. You know, I understand that bad shit's going around.
Are you talking about Batman? Is that your nickname for Ben Affleck's Batman? Is that Batfleck?
No, not Batman, not Batman shit. I'm just bad stuff's going around Metropolis and Gotham, you know, so I understand why they're so serious. Just the tone of the movie, man, it's just fucking depressed me. It depressed me, man.
Well, that was a decision that DC made. I can't remember if it was after The Dark Knight or after The Dark Knight Rises.
Take it back, DC.
It was a decision they made because they saw the success of The Dark Knight and they thought, oh, it's a dark movie. That must be why it was successful. I think there were multiple reasons why it was successful, but that's the Hollywood model. If you see one thing be successful, you assume that it's this one thing about it that made it successful, so we will copy that one thing thinking that it's going to make anything else we do successful.
But the Nolan Batman was completely different from the Ben Affleck Batman. I mean, the Nolan Batman was more crime and detective.
It was a more grounded superhero trilogy.
Yeah.
It was more realistic. It's Zack Snyder, so it is more stylized. It's not, I don't know if I want to say it's as stylized. Maybe that's not right. It's not the same sort of stylization as the Tim Burton Batman from 1989, but it's certainly more stylized. But at the same time, there are some very real-world things that it deals with in here, which is one of the things that's kind of weird. It seems like it wants to be a melding of hyper-stylized and realistic.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird at points, I guess. I mean, the Marvel movies, depending on which one, try to do something similar to that, but at the same time, they still feel. The big difference is that they kind of embrace the comic bookiness of it, which is one of the Marvel movies' strengths, I would say. Excuse me. Well, this one,
it's depressing.
I mean, it does and it doesn't.
It is depressing, dude. You gotta admit, it was at some points. You're just like,
yeah. I mean, the only attempts at comic relief in here were some jokes provided here and there from Lex Luthor of all people. Although, isn't he
from the villain?
Isn't he kind of supposed to be like Lex Luthor Jr. or something? Because he talked about his father started the company, and it was his name in the company, but he's Lex Luthor, so I'm a little bit confused. But they don't call him Lex Luthor Jr., so I don't know.
He keeps bringing up,
but all that to say, the only humor that's really in it comes from him. And I mean, it wasn't. We went to a matinee. It wasn't a packed theater, but it had a fair amount of people in there, and nobody really laughed. They were not laugh out loud sort of jokes.
I mean, I don't know what to say about the characters, because I was just like with Lex, I was completely confused.
Yeah, because I was telling you, I was not 100% sold on Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
And I told you, well, I've seen him in Social Network,
which I have not seen yet. I didn't mean to.
I've seen him in a couple other things where he's done some serious roles, you know. I'm like, maybe he might pull it off, you know. No, fuck.
Well, the thing is that at least with other live-action takes on Lex Luthor, there was some elements of humor involved, and Lex was certainly eccentric and quirky. I mean, Gene Hackman played him with a kind of a twisted sense of humor. Kevin Spacey went pretty dark with Lex Luthor.
That's fine, but when you're going around doing that kind of shit, I mean, you might as well just throw on the fucking makeup and go for fucking Joker at that point.
Yeah, I will admit that was certainly very weird at points. So, Jesse Eisenberg is certainly not my favorite screen Lex Luthor. But
he might get, I mean, he might be wrong. It might get better later. We
perhaps, but at the same time, the thing that I really liked about the Lex in this is that one of my concerns going into this was that I felt like the movie seemed like it would have a lot of potential to be thematically deep and kind of philosophical, but I wasn't sure it could live up to that, given the way that they were generally presenting the movie, because they were hyping the conflict between Batman and Superman the most, and not the reasons for why they have conflict. And Lex brings a lot of it out. He has some very interesting speeches where he's using a lot of religious terminology and religious themes. And maybe it just resounded with me because I'm a religious person, but I really liked hearing those things. There was a lot of meat to those, even though he was, bat crack crazy, pardon the pun,
But Batman was fucking scary in this movie.
Yeah, people were. Remember how everyone was hating that Ben Affleck was going to be Batman? And I was one of those people from the start who said, "Shut up." Ben Affleck can be a good Batman, and he is. But at the same time, I have some issues with this presentation of Batman, and I think it's because I've been too influenced to a certain extent by the Nolan trilogy, where they say straight up, Batman does not kill. He has a rule, and his rule is that he doesn't kill. And the only times he does in the Nolan trilogy are those points where he really feels like he has no choice. Like at the end of The Dark Knight when he tackles Two-Face and he falls off a building. But in this one, Batman doesn't care. If you're a bad guy and you're in his way, and he has to get you out of the way, he'll kill you.
He had enough of that shit.
Yeah. Now it's not like, he necessarily walks up to people and breaks their necks or anything like that, but if he's beating you up and you fly out a window, he doesn't really care, if he blows up your car.
Like the Tim Burton Batman, he kills a couple people.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so it's hard for me to say that I want to list that as a criticism, because Batman does the same thing in the old Tim Burton movie.
But you take the fight scenes from... If you take the Batman fight scenes from Nolan's Batman and you compare them to this Batman's fucking brutal. You can hear the punches like someone's getting plowed by a fucking truck.
Yeah, and we hear bones breaking.
He threw a crate at a guy. Just swing the whole crate.
He took his grappling hook and sent it through a guy's shoulder and then pulled him. That was, did you hear me? I was quoting Scorpion when that happened. It was like, get over here.
I mean, and he looks like when he's wearing the armor when he's about to fight Superman.
That is straight out of Dark Knight Returns.
He looks like a fucking armed gorilla. Like I wouldn't mess with that guy if I see him.
Oh no!
There's no way.
Oh no!
He's just.
And the tactics he uses when he fights Superman are straight out of the Dark Knight Returns as well. Same sort of stuff.
But the problem that I have is with the setup that's gonna have for later, for the future films that they're planning. That's part of the reason why I got upset. And I'm not gonna say anything about it until you guys go see the movie. But I was a little disappointed because I'm worried about how they're gonna handle that in the future.
Yeah, that's you get a bit of an impression in this. One of my concerns going into this, and it was handled better than I thought it was. I don't think it'll be handled nearly as well in Suicide Squad.
No,
but which is that DC wants to get a Justice League movie out there so bad because of Marvel's success with the Avengers movies that they're throwing as many characters as they can out into this new shared universe in as few movies as they can. You know, that's why they're doing Suicide Squad, which is just the third movie in their cinematic universe, and it's about a whole team of characters so they can introduce a whole bunch at once, which in some ways makes some sort of sense, and they do the same thing here,
Really,
except
it's gonna suck, man. I just know it's gonna suck.
Except in this one, we have 3 cameos by notable Justice League members, and then Wonder Woman is in here. Now she isn't as prominent as I thought she must be. What she's doing is more or less a subplot. But let's be honest, when she shows up at the end in costume, that was really well done. That was pretty awesome.
Wonder Woman is badass in this movie.
Yeah, people didn't think Gal Gadot could pull it off because she's too tiny to be Wonder Woman. Well, I think they can all shut up because I've heard some people say she steals the movie.
She's good.
Probably not until the end when she shows up in costume, but yeah, I can see why people would say she steals the movie.
I think she's beautiful, and she nailed it. She nailed they did the lasso right, they did the bracelets right.
Yeah, because
the sword, the shield, it was all there, and she did a good job.
Yeah, but we probably should address the elephant in the room, Doomsday. And there's no denying that it's Doomsday. You might have been able to write it off as just being some sort of generic monster, but he gets name dropped. He gets name dropped.
Well,
Lex tells Superman, "This is your Doomsday."
It's stupid because he was in some kind of fucking egg, getting ready to get hatched, and
it was more like
it was
more like a womb.
A nasty fucking thing. And they were just sucking electricity and power from
because he created him using some of the leftover Kryptonian technology.
It was just like a Frankenstein kind of deal.
Well, but at the same time, it's still somewhat in line with Doomsday's comic book origin because he was a Kryptonian superweapon.
But they just rushed them out all right, here's Doomsday now. Oh, there you go.
They had to throw it there. I thought it actually would have been smarter if they had used a villain like Metallo, and you could still have it be somebody created by Lex Luthor to kill Superman if Batman and Superman didn't kill each other. And in this movie they introduced Kryptonite, so that way it would play into that. But yeah, but then they just nope, here's Doomsday, because let's be honest, Doomsday is going to sell tickets. That's why they're doing it. Doomsday sells tickets.
I don't understand the appeal for that character. I think that character's fucking
It's
retarded.
because he was part of this big iconic storyline.
But that's the
he
problem
killed
that I have.
Superman. He's how many villains can say they actually killed Superman?
Still,
But yeah, he's not that interesting of a character. He's just a monster.
They're gonna nitpick the little things from the good stuff and throw it in a movie. That's fine. Go ahead, do that. That's great. But do it right.
Yeah. And I think the reason they went the direction that they did with Doomsday is, and this was something I really appreciated about this movie, because people lobbed a lot of criticisms of Man of Steel, and one of them being that they thought there was an overabundance of destruction
There was.
in Man of Steel, and a lot of it, they argue, was caused by Superman's recklessness. That he did not try to get the Kryptonian villains out of populated areas. And in this one, they deal with that. The first 10 minutes of this movie, I thought were actually pretty brilliant, where they're showing you the end of, interspersed with like this quick little origin for Batman, because it's only been 4 years since The Dark Knight Returns. We don't need a full-fledged origin for Batman, even though we need to retell Superman's origin in Man of Steel, but whatever. And they follow the continuity of Man of Steel pretty much perfectly, but they show it to you from ground level, from Bruce Wayne's perspective, and you find out that it wasn't just a nice little set piece. There were people on the ground. There were people in those buildings. They got hurt. They were killed. I mean, it kind of puts the end of Man of Steel in a different light.
Yeah, that's kind of what started the conflict.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that they are addressing that there were consequences to what happened. It wasn't just a bunch of Hollywood indulgence.
See, I didn't have a problem with that because it's an actual reason for Batman to go after Superman.
Especially when...
But then when they made up and they're like, all right, well...
Yeah, they made up really fast.
We're friends now. Hold on, I'm here to save you, ma'am. I'm your...
Now, mind you, they took something that and it was always, for years, just kind of this interesting bit of trivia. That would be a spoiler, so I won't say anything, but it was an interesting bit of trivia, and they made it into a plot point. And I really liked that. I thought that was really cool of them.
I mean, that got over with. It went by fast. They fought.
The actual fight, which was the big thing that they were hyping in this movie.
A little rough housing every now and there.
Yeah, and the fact that they were hyping this was to be a conflict between Batman and Superman, the fight's over pretty fast, and I think the rest of the climax was actually longer than their fight, and it was fighting Doomsday. And which is why it's interesting, because I would almost say that comparatively, if you look at Man of Steel, up until that maybe the last 20-30 minutes of this movie, it was a relatively small movie by comparison to Man of Steel, where you had an alien planet that you got to see at the beginning on Krypton, and they're globe trotting, and then the big fight at the end when the buildings are collapsing, and
it's kind of like
all this destruction, and then you get none of that really. I mean, there's a couple things that blow up, but the fight between Batman and Superman is actually fairly small by comparison. And then you get to the last 20 minutes when Doomsday shows up, and it's like, and then it gets Man of Steel level crazy.
It turns into fucking a Michael Bay film, and there's explosions everywhere and shit. But that's kind of the way that Hollywood movies are nowadays, man. They're like this, and then oh, climax, boom.
No, the Avengers wasn't quite like that. The Avengers was consistently... Well, it was large for most of the movie, then it just got bigger at the end.
But, I mean, here's a bad example. I'll give you a bad example. Fantastic Four.
There was nothing large in Fantastic Four. Okay? We already reviewed that movie. There was nothing large in Fantastic Four.
The last 15 minutes of that movie was like...
The last 15 minutes of that movie was half the budget.
Fuck it, we need action, do something. Fight Doom. Ah!
Yeah, fight Hoodie Doom. He's not Dr. Doom, he's Hoodie Doom. That one's not Doom. I'm sorry. Do not get me started on that movie. Please don't get me started.
So now, I mean, what do we have? People they were asking themselves the question, will this be better than Civil War? And no, it's not going to be better.
I'm still calling it right now.
It's not going to be better.
There's 6 superhero movies coming out this year. Batman v Superman is the second one. I'm calling it now. Civil War will be the best superhero movie of 2016.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that there are some very interesting similarities between Batman v Superman and what I think Civil War is going to be about.
Not in the same tone. Not in the same tone.
Not quite the same tone, but looks like Civil War is also going to be dark.
It is going to be dark.
I've even heard some say that Civil War is going to be the darkest MCU movie.
But it's not going to be Batman v Superman dark.
No, it won't be.
I mean, you look at Winter Soldier and you're like, wow, that was. When you think about it, it's like, wow, that was fucked up. But then you remember the action scenes, the scenarios, where they filmed and it's not dark. It's not gritty. It's colorful. I mean, they're fighting outside and the air carrier and stuff, and it's crazy, man. And then you look at Batman v Superman, and it's always fucking dark, and it's raining all the time. You can't tell the difference between Metropolis and Gotham City, and it's
which that was a tragic mistake on their part.
I mean, you should be able to distinguish Metropolis from Gotham City, and
Gotham should look more gothic. It should look more run down. Metropolis should look brighter and futuristic, kind of it's the same distinction between Batman and Superman, which was the other thing is that, and they did this in Man of Steel. They muted the colors on Superman's costume, probably because they think that if the colors are too bright, it's going to look gaudy, and I can understand that. Captain America's colors in the Marvel movies are muted a bit by comparison to what they are in the comics,
but he's still bright.
But the biggest thing is that at least they kept Superman's color scheme. Wonder Woman has no color.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was
and she had fairly bright colors, depending on which like pre-New 52 when it was, she had red, blue, and yellow, and then New 52 they just it was more red, and they replaced the yellow with silver.
I don't like the way
But in this one, it's like it's the same design, but there's no color.
I just don't like the route that DC is going with their movies, man. It's not going to end well.
Wait, you're going to get some color in a DC movie? Come on, we saw the trailer for Suicide Squad. Joker has bright green hair.
That's going to be something. I mean, I can. This was going to be like, I know this is going to be better than Suicide Squad, and now that I've been underwhelmed with this, there's nothing about Suicide Squad that I'm looking forward to.
Well, Harley Quinn's kind of colorful.
I mean, right now at this point, it's going to be Civil War for me, and Doctor Strange. I'm really looking forward.
The only thing we have for Doctor Strange is they released a couple of pictures of Benedict Cumberbatch in costume.
But it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be awesome. They're going to introduce magic and like colorful, like the circles, the Eye of Agamotto and shit that he does, and it's just gonna. I think it's going to be nice.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be.
Now, to kind of wrap things up here, I went into this with middling expectations, and if you can't quite tell, maybe you can't. I actually, when the movie was over, I was telling you and one of our other friends who was there with us that I feel like I shouldn't like this movie, but I did, and that's because, like I said, I had middling expectations, and my middling expectations were exceeded. Maybe not by much, but they were exceeded.
You're just convincing yourself that you don't hate it.
It could be that. I could find myself, the more I think about it, or if I see the movie again, that I may find myself liking it less. The same thing happened with Man of Steel. I liked Man of Steel at first, but then the more I thought about it, and then when I saw it a couple more times after that, I started liking it less.
I'll say this. I dislike the movie, but it's not the worst I've seen.
Oh, it's not Fantastic Four bad. It's not Fantastic Four bad.
Or Gods of Egypt bad. Because
I didn't see Gods of
Egypt. That's like the shittiest movie out this year so far. So, but it's not bad, but to me it was underwhelming. Now, I was kind of hyped up.
Was it underwhelming because of the movie itself, or because you're a comic book fan? If you were not a comic book fan, how do you think you would have reacted to this?
The same. It's just I'm not looking at the movie from a comic book fan point of view. I went in there as a movie goer. I'm just all right. Let's go watch the film, see what the film has to offer, and it was boring. It was boring. The action scenes were okay, but a bit pointless, and then. It was just boring, man. It was.
The red capes are coming.
Yeah.
The red capes are coming.
And it's just
one of their few attempts at humor.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of getting sick of seeing the dark superhero movies, man. They're getting old. Like after seeing Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. Well, Deadpool. Actually, Deadpool was pretty dark at points. It was really funny, but it was very dark at points.
But even Deadpool, it was like, okay, that was good. But I wasn't like, man, I love the movie. It was just like,
Yeah,
Okay,
you and I like Deadpool, but not as much as other people.
It is a good movie. Maybe because I'm not a Deadpool fan, maybe I would like him more if I was a Deadpool fan. But as a moviegoer, I was like, that was good. It wasn't like Winter Soldier good, which is still my favorite movie right now. But it was good. It was a good movie. It delivered what it promised. Didn't disappoint me with action. Didn't disappoint me with jokes. I laughed throughout the whole movie, and it was good. And like with Batman v Superman, I was like the whole time since the trailer came out, DC, what are you doing here? What are you gonna do, DC? And then Doomsday shows up in the trailer, and I'm just like, what are you doing, DC? And now I know.
It's funny you're bringing up Deadpool while we're talking about Batman v Superman, and I've seen a couple of funny memes people have made trying to combine the two. You know, like they have one where they show that shot from the trailer where Batman actually blocks a punch from Superman, and then it cuts to Deadpool going, "Oh!" like that. And then there was another one someone made where they took the image of Batman and Superman, that close up of their faces when they're looking at each other, which looks eerily similar to a Civil War poster, I might add. And then they photoshopped Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, into the center, and it says, "Hey Spidey, come here. I think they're gonna kiss."
But anyways, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think you guys should go watch it and just judge by yourself. You might end up liking the movie. I'm no one to tell you to don't see it. I can't do that. I'm saying from my point of view, from being a Batman fan to being an actual DC fan, actually I should say, because I like Superman more than I do Batman. From that point of view, I was a bit let down. From a moviegoer's point of view, I was definitely let down. So, I mean, it's just my opinion. If you want to go see it, go ahead. And just, it's whatever you guys want it to be.
I would tell you that it's worth seeing at least once. If I don't know if I would tell people necessarily to see it on the big screen. I think it'd be okay if you waited until DVD. Unless you are that big of a fan of superhero movies or of Batman and Superman. What?
Or if you're a nerd.
Or if you're a nerd, which we are. But yeah, so but otherwise, I don't know how interested you would be in seeing it.
If you don't read comics and you're just like, if you have a casual, like, I don't know how you would say, if you don't like comic books and you don't really watch superhero movies and decide to go see the movie, I don't know.
I don't know what most people would think of it.
But anyway, we talk way too much. We need to shut up already.
Yes, we do.
So,
thanks for watching.
Bye.
Go ahead, check one more time. And I'm just going to let it play after that. I'll just edit this stuff out.
I'll say like Bill O'Reilly. Fuck it! Let's do it live! Let's do it live!